Have you ever felt paralyzed by anxiety over what lies ahead? Worrying about job security, relationships, or the inevitability of change can consume your thoughts, making it impossible to enjoy the present moment. In a world that constantly pushes us to think about tomorrow, our next promotion, our next milestone, our next problem, it's easy to feel trapped in a state of perpetual unease. Today, we turn to the wisdom of Alan Watts, a British philosopher who offered a refreshingly profound perspective on life. Combining Eastern traditions, such as Zen Buddhism and Taoism, with a modern Western outlook, Watts spoke passionately about living fully now, rather than being enslaved by fears of the future. Join me as we uncover Alan Watts's teachings on how to stop worrying about tomorrow and start experiencing the vibrant reality of today. Alan Wilson Watts, 1915–1973, was an influential writer, speaker, and philosopher, best known for popularizing Eastern philosophy in the West. Born in England, Watts later moved to the United States, where he became an Episcopal priest before stepping away from formal religion to delve more deeply into Zen, Taoism, and other Eastern schools of thought. His charismatic, eloquent lectures and books, like The Wisdom of Insecurity and The Way of Zen, still resonate today, inspiring millions to question their habitual ways of thinking. Watts's teachings revolve around a central notion. Our minds often sabotage our happiness by obsessing over regrets from the past or fears for the future. He believed that the secret to peace and fulfillment lies in embracing the present moment, free from incessant mental chatter. As we explore his ideas, be prepared to question some of your own assumptions and discover a lighter, more liberated way to live. Before diving into Watts' solutions, let's clarify the issue: future-focused anxiety. Many of us lose hours, if not days, worrying about what might happen. We imagine worst-case scenarios, stress about deadlines that seem far away, or fear changes looming on the horizon. This mental fixation robs our present of joy and authenticity. Instead of savoring a sunset or connecting genuinely with friends, we're mentally rehearsing possible disasters or obsessing over outcomes we can't fully control. Watts identified this as a fundamental misunderstanding of time. He argued that the past no longer exists and the future is purely hypothetical. Yet we let these non-existent realms dictate our emotional well-being. Why? Because we cling to the belief that by anticipating and planning every possibility, we can achieve security. In truth, constant worrying does little to prevent mishaps. It only ensures we suffer them in our minds, sometimes multiple times over. A cornerstone of Alan Watts's teachings is what he called the eternal now. We typically think of time as a line, past, present, future. But Watts invites us to recognize that only the present is real. The past is a memory trace stored in our mind, and the future is a projection of our imagination. The more we realize life is actually happening right here, right now, the easier it becomes to let go of tomorrow. Focused anxiety. Watts often joked that people treat the present like a bus stop on the way to somewhere else. In reality, life unfolds only in present moment experiences. Once you fully grasp that you can't truly live in any time but now, worrying about the future begins to seem absurd. The paradox is that by learning to rest in the now, you handle inevitable future events with greater calm, creativity, and resilience. In his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, Watts argues that insecurity, the sense of uncertainty about what's coming next, isn't a flaw in life, but an inherent characteristic of being alive. People chase security through rigid plans, money, relationships, or status, but everything remains subject to change. By confronting this truth, we free ourselves from the futile pursuit of certainty. Ironically, when we accept impermanence and realize we can't guarantee future outcomes, a weight lifts from our minds. We shift from tense vigilance to genuine presence. Instead of trying to lock life into a predictable path, we flow with its natural rhythms. Fear of change is replaced by curiosity, and we discover that not knowing can be exhilarating rather than terrifying. Watts highlighted another crucial error fueling our worry about tomorrow: the illusion of control. We often behave as though we can micromanage every detail, as if life were a machine we can fine-tune. Yet countless external variables, global events, other people's choices, random twists of fate, are beyond our reach. The more we cling to the idea of total control, the more anxious we become, because real life refuses to fit our expectations. Embracing non-control doesn't mean giving up on goals or ignoring responsibilities. Rather, it means acknowledging the limits of your power. You control your efforts, yes, but you don't control all outcomes. By letting go of omnipotent fantasies, you can place your energy into living more skillfully now, without piling on the stress of scenarios you can't direct. One of Watts's key methods for escaping future obsession is mindful observation of your own thoughts. When worry arises, instead of fighting it or indulging it, simply notice it like a passing cloud in the sky. Resist labeling the thought as good or bad. Watch it drift through your mind and let it go. If you catch yourself constructing elaborate what-if scenarios, gently bring your focus back to the present moment. Your breath, your immediate surroundings, the sensations in your body. This technique, influenced by Zen Buddhism, trains you to see thoughts as transient phenomena rather than ultimate truths. Over time, you realize you are not the stream of worry itself. You're the awareness behind it. This subtle shift in perspective weakens anxiety's grip and helps you cultivate stillness, clarity, and acceptance of whatever is right now. Watts suggested immersing yourself wholeheartedly in what you're doing. This might sound straightforward, but in an age of constant digital distractions and future-oriented to-do lists, genuine immersion is surprisingly rare. If you're cooking, focus on the aroma of spices, the texture of ingredients, the sizzle of heat. If you're conversing with a friend, listen deeply, noticing subtle vocal inflections, facial expressions, and emotional nuance. By giving the present moment all your attention, you deprive future worries of mental space. In effect, you tune in to the fullness of life unfolding right now. This intense engagement fosters joy, creativity, and even greater efficiency, since a focused mind operates more powerfully than a scattered one lost in hypothetical tomorrows. Watts was heavily influenced by Taoist thought, which emphasizes the dynamic flow of life, or what the Chinese call Tao. The Tao is an ever-moving stream. Trying to hold it still is futile. Anxiety arises when we resist this flow, trying to freeze a perfect moment in time or steer the currents of life to our personal blueprint. But resisting change only creates tension. Consider a river. If you cling to a rock, fighting the current, the water's forceful rush can injure or exhaust you. If you learn to float and adapt, you move harmoniously. Similarly, by embracing change instead of fearing it, you align with life's natural rhythms. Worrying about future changes can transform into an appreciation for life's constant renewal. After all, if nothing changed, we'd be trapped in eternal stagnation. The fear of not knowing what tomorrow brings is central to our anxiety. Watts believed that reveling in the unknown can be liberating. Instead of seeing the unknown as a lurking danger, see it as a realm of infinite potential. When you let go of the need for everything to be mapped out, curiosity replaces dread. Life becomes an unfolding story rather than a grim test you must pass. He often used the metaphor of dancing. A dancer doesn't ask, "How will this step end?" They immerse themselves fully in the music, step after step. Similarly, life is best lived as a dance, engaged, moment by moment, open to whatever arises. You don't have to know the entire choreography in advance. You simply need to stay present and respond gracefully. One of Watts' most endearing qualities was his playful, humorous demeanor. He believed that taking life too seriously is a major obstacle to living in the present. If you view life as an unsolvable puzzle or a dire game of survival, you miss out on the lighthearted creativity inherent in being alive. Integrate small doses of silliness, laughter, or spontaneity into your day. This might mean telling a silly joke, dancing in your living room, or exploring a childlike hobby without worrying about results. Humor acts as a mental circuit breaker, short-circuiting worry loops with a reminder that not everything needs to be so dire. Even serious issues can be approached more effectively from a calmer, lighter perspective. A common misunderstanding of Watt's philosophy, and many Eastern teachings, is that letting go of worry equates to apathy or irresponsibility. Watts clarified that truly living in the present actually enhances our capacity to address real-world challenges. When you stop worrying about the future, you free up mental bandwidth to act effectively in the now. Rather than ignoring your finances, you might calmly create a plan. Rather than obsessing over whether your relationship will last, you invest genuine attention in nurturing it today. Letting go of future angst enables purposeful, decisive action, grounded in clarity, not fear. Think of it like pruning away mental clutter so your energy can flow toward things that truly matter. You may wonder, that all sounds good, but how do I actually live in the now? Try these key steps inspired by Alan Watts. 1. Frequent mindfulness check-ins. Several times a day, pause and notice. Am I lost in future thoughts? If so, gently return your focus to your immediate environment. Observe the sights, sounds, sensations around you. 2. Daily no-plan time. Designate a short period, maybe 15 minutes, where you drop your schedule and engage in pure spontaneity. Walk outside, doodle, or simply sit quietly. Let go of any agenda and experience existence as it is. 3. Relabel anxiety as excitement. Next time you feel worry rising, ask if there's an element of excitement. Anxiety and excitement share a similar physical sensation. By reframing, you can turn dread for the future into curiosity about new possibilities. 4. Laugh at your what-ifs. If you catch yourself spiraling into catastrophic what-if scenarios, imagine them as overblown cartoons. Sometimes just a small mental shift can reduce their power and remind you these scenarios aren't real. Many who adopt these principles find their relationships, work life, and emotional health transformed. Instead of being stressed about next month's bills every night, you methodically budget, now and then allow yourself the mental peace to enjoy an evening with loved ones. Instead of dreading a new job role, you celebrate today's opportunity to learn. Stories abound, from entrepreneurs who pivot confidently after embracing uncertainty, to parents who find deeper joy with their children once they stop micromanaging the future. The beauty of Watts's approach lies in its universality. Anyone, anywhere, can benefit by simply refocusing on the present, one moment at a time. In essence, Alan Watts reminds us that tomorrow doesn't yet exist. Only our imaginations of it do. Worry often results from a desperate attempt to secure what can never be completely secured. But paradoxically, the less we cling to total certainty, the more alive and capable we become. By immersing ourselves in the flow of life, trusting we'll meet future needs as they arise, we reclaim the joy that is our birthright. You don't have to abandon responsibility or become recklessly impulsive. You just recognize that life's richness isn't found in some distant promise, but right here, right now. When we let life unfold instead of forcing it, we tap into a creative spontaneity beyond anything our anxious minds could plan. So, will you keep dragging the weight of tomorrow's worries, or dare to trust the present moment? Will you unburden your mind enough to see the wonder that surrounds you? Alan Watts believed that if you stop fighting against life's natural flux, you'll discover a freedom more profound than any future guarantee you might hope to secure. Take a moment, even today, to sit quietly and notice your breath. Let your concerns about what could go wrong next week dissolve into the simple reality of your inhalation and exhalation. Ironically, you might find that freeing yourself from future fears now equips you to handle tomorrow with greater grace and wisdom. Thank you for joining me on this journey.